Hello Planeswalkers, Andrew here bringing you a new deck tech. Today, we're going to be talking about Queen Kayla bin Kroog, a new commander from the Brothers' War. She is a 2/3 human noble for one red-white. She says 4 and tap, discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. You may choose an artifact or creature card with mana value 1, 2, and or 3 from your graveyard that you discarded this way. Return those creatures to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, the premise for this deck is an idea that I got from Red Deck Tries on Twitter. This deck is going to involve pretty much every creature that you can run that has haste and says at the end of turn, return it to your hand. We have cards such as Glitterfang, that is a 1/1 for red that has haste and at the end of turn, return Glitterfang to its owner's hand. With this and other cards with similar effects that are both mana values 2 and 3 in addition to mana value of 1, you can discard them from your hand, play them from the grave with Kayla's ability, and they will swing out and attack, and then they'll return to your hand, and you can do it again next turn. And because you'll be playing creatures that will be entering and going to the grave and leaving the grave, we have some effects to take advantage of that, such as Impact Tremors. Impact Tremors is a great way to capitalize on Enter the Battlefield effects. We also have such effects as, how do you even say this? Durgar Hedgemage. Sorry for all these pauses, Cat, by the way. I appreciate you. You can cut or leave in whatever you want. I trust your judgment. So the Hedgemage says whenever it enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more mountains, you may destroy an artifact, and when it enters, if you control 2 or more planes, you may destroy an enchantment. So, because you'll be spitting it out of your grave, it'll enter, trigger its ETB, you get the idea. We have some other cool 1, 2, and 3 mana value creatures and artifacts, just a bunch of good stuffs, such as Cloud Shredder Sliver, which has flying and haste. And even though you don't have any other slivers to take advantage of the all slivers you control have it, it's still just a solid 2-drop. Champion of the Parish says whenever another human enters under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Parish. A lot of these creatures are humans, such as Norin the Wary, which is another fun, underused, I mean, it's not underused, it's a bad card. But in this deck, it's kind of fun, because he says, when a player plays a spell or creature attacks, remove Norin the Wary from the game. Return it to play under its owner's control at the end of turn. So he's going to be constantly going to exile and coming back to the battlefield whenever anyone does anything. So that's another good way to get Impact Tremors triggers and, Champion of the Parish triggers. Bloodmark Mentor gives your red creatures first strike. We have a lot of red creatures more than white creatures. Transient Master is a 3-drop that has level up, so you can eventually make it into a 9/9 indestructible lifelinker, which is great. We've got Thrawn Turbine. During your upkeep, you may add up to 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. This mana cannot be spent to play spells. This is one way to help pay Queen Kayla's ability. Thousand-Year Elixir is a 3-drop artifact that Queen Kayla can grab for you when you discard it. You may activate the abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. So if you have this out before Queen Kayla, then that means that once you play Queen Kayla, you can activate her ability that same turn. You don't have to wait for Summoning Sickness to go away. Suture Priest gains you a life whenever a creature enters under your control, and makes an opponent lose life whenever creatures enter under their control. Soul's Attendant is another human that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield anywhere, you gain 1 life. Soltari Foot Soldier has Shadow, so it cannot be blocked and cannot block unless it's another creature with Shadow, so it's just a nice small attacker. Puppet Strings allows you to untap a creature, so you can use Queen Kayla's ability multiple times a turn if you so choose. Obstinate Familiar says if you draw a card, you may skip that draw instead. I put that in the deck because if you're activating Queen Kayla a bunch, you're going to be running through your deck pretty quick. And this way, if your deck is empty, you can choose to not draw a card and not lose the game that way. Jotun Grunt is a giant soldier that has cumulative upkeep. Put 2 cards from a single graveyard on the bottom of their owner's library. This has the same effect as Obstinate Familiar, if not a little bit better, because it lets you pull cards out of your grave and put them back into your deck so that you don't mill yourself out by discarding and drawing your hands constantly. Dragon Master Outcast is just a good 1-drop that if you control 6 more lands on your upkeep, you make a 5/5 dragon. Currency Converter says whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard, and you may pay 2 and tap it to draw a card, then discard a card. Tap it to put a card exiled with Currency Converter into your graveyard. If it's a land card, create a treasure. If it's a non-land card, create a 2/2 black rogue. So this is just another way to take advantage of those cards that you're discarding. If you happen to discard some stuff that Queen Kayla cannot grab for you, you can do something with it with Currency Converter. Last couple cards I want to talk about are Cemetery Keeper, which is a vampire with first strike, and when it enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. It's just another decent 2-drop. Lastly, we have Anger, which is 4 mana, which means that you're not going to be grabbing it with Queen Kayla, but that's fine, because when it's in your grave, as long as you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. Very handy for both attacking and for activating Queen Kayla's ability the same turn that she enters. And with that, that wraps up the quick deck tech. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below telling us what you think. It really helps us out a lot and lets us know that you want to see more in the future. And with that, you have a nice day.